5, 4, 3.
Did you mouth like the one
I
to
did. Did
to
you hear
start
me?
it? No, you just went silent because you were like 5, 4, 3, and I was like, hello. Okay, all right. Well, welcome everybody to the first ever episode of Two Bros and a Comic. This is a new podcast for my YouTube channel. It's about me, Wes, and my brother Landon. Landon, say hi.
Hmm.
Oh, he's eating.
Shit,
Nice,
I
dude.
was
Very,
taking a
very
drink
fucking
of water.
professional, dude.
I'm terrible.
What is outright, huh?
This is why we need video as soon as we can, so people can see, like, oh, he's just an
Oh,
idiot, and then
yeah,
it'll be
yeah,
fine.
yeah. So we can see each other and be like, "Oh, okay, I'll wait. I'll wait a second for you
Yeah,
to drink."
exactly.
This is the podcast. It is me, a veteran comic reader, introducing somebody who has literally never read a comic in their life to
Yes.
the world of comics, either that be video game wise, media, or comic books. We are doing this one step at a time, I guess.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for
this
having me
is
on.
fun. Yeah, I just kind of, I was like, I had the YouTube channel and I'm pretty slow at putting out content, not even gonna lie. Like, I do 2 videos every month, which
Right.
is pretty shit. And I was like, I gotta find a way to make better, or not better content, but just more content for the channel itself.
More volume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've been listening to podcasts recently, and I never do podcasts
Yeah.
because I can't sit and listen to people talk. Honestly, my mind, I have like ADHD, I think. But
It just goes flying out.
dude, my mind just kind of races. So I started working morning shifts at work, and I started listening to podcasts. Oh fuck, podcast more. And I was like, why don't I do a podcast? But like, who could I do it with? And then I came up with the idea, and I was like, oh, you know who I could do it with
It's
is
me.
yeah. I was like, because I came up with the idea, and I was like, I don't know any of my friends though that I would actually like get in on this and be able to have just like a casual conversation. And then I was like, hold on, I grew up with a guy
Hey.
that I could talk to.
Yeah, and I'm relatively interested in the comic books. I mean, at least in the Marvel cinematic universe, I somewhat know some stuff, right?
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
it was nice that it wasn't like a hard drop into comic land of like just not knowing anything.
Yeah.
But it still is I definitely I was looking at my talking points earlier today and I was like, "Oh, these are kind of shallow, like a little you know what I mean? Like I just like
It's like, who's Noel? And I'm like, all right,
no.
well,
Yeah, and I just don't a lot of things just like probably went over my head.
yeah.
But we can get into that later. But yeah,
Well, yeah,
no,
I
I
mean,
get what you're saying when you're talking about like especially wanting to do something like this that's more long form, less edited and stuff like that where you can kind of let your true voice be heard type thing rather than like the kind of produced videos that you kind of put together.
yeah. Sorry,
Nice.
I ate a sandwich earlier, and I was literally holding that in the entire time you talk. And I was like, all right, this is either gonna burn my nose or I'm gonna have to just let this dude rip. But yeah, it's definitely. I think honestly, if we were older than like when we were born and we started a podcast in like 2000, you would be screwed because you would have no movies to kind of get your like
Yes.
minor details.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like however much the movies are different from all the comics, they still have a lot of stuff that you're like, oh, I know him.
Yeah.
Like he's friends with Captain America. Whereas like if we started this way earlier before watching any of these movies, you would be like, who the hell is that guy?
Oh, yeah.
You'd be like, oh.
Well, and even like Iron Man, I was just like I took Iron Man when I watched that movie like as like this is just a movie like that like on its own I'm just gonna take in because
Yeah.
I didn't even know like the bad guy's name. I still don't. I don't remember his name.
It's Ironmonger, bro. Come on.
But you know,
Damn it.
you know, I don't know if he's a big. Is he a big deal in the comic? I guess we'll find out. We'll
Yeah,
know.
he's a pretty big deal. He's a almost any time there's been like an alternate universe of Tony or anything like that, Obadiah or at least the Stains in general are like a part of Tony's origin. Yeah, so honestly, that's pretty shitty that you didn't know. Restart the podcast. Back
Run it
everybody
back.
to the first episode of.
Do you want to what podcast or I meant what comic did we read? Shall we let him know?
We read my favorite comic. Actually, yeah, probably like second favorite comic because I like his current ongoing right now. But it's a comic that got me really started into reading comics. It's Planet Hulk, and I believe it's by Greg Pak, right? I haven't read it in a while.
I can
but
pull
you
it.
just read it.
Yeah, I can pull
So
it
you should
back up.
You should know.
I didn't.
I
I didn't actually pay attention to any of that stuff, and that's another one of the things where I was like, oh god, I'm so screwed because I just don't know any of these names that I'm looking at either. Yeah. I do
I have
see
a hard
PAX
time.
on the front page here.
Yeah,
said
Pax
Pax,
is
correct?
like he's a big like Hulk dad. He did the Planet Hulk was like his big like what is that called, dude? What is
Or
not
Pack.
like upbringing?
Pack. Greg Pack.
Oh, you're still on the name,
Yeah,
huh?
sorry. I thought it was an X. Yeah,
What is
like
that called though?
like your debut type thing.
Yeah, debut. So like he had been writing on Hulk for a little bit and like, gaining some steam, and then he had written Hulk, I believe, in the past too. I could be wrong though. I don't really read these or 90s comics, so I could be wrong. But then he did Planet Hulk, and then people were like, "This is the best Hulk story to ever, hit the shelves." Yeah. So that, and then little Weston in about 2011 came across it and was like, "Oh, I like comic books now."
Here it is.
Yeah, I guess let's do like backgrounds with comics, just so people get a general sense of where we are. So I'd say you go first because mine's probably longer.
Oh yeah, mine's
on my
super
story
short.
with
Yeah.
comics.
No,
Yours
I
is
don't
probably
know
like just...
anything about them. I've read this now. Like this is like probably the first comic I've read. Like actually paid attention. Like I think there was a few comics about The Thing, like John Carpenter's
Oh, the
film.
movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
That I heard about and read like forever ago when I was a kid, like when I first saw The Thing. Because I was like, well, what happens? And it turns out that like nothing of note happens, and it's just crazy. Like,
Nice.
it's like why I was like, oh, comics are weird as fuck, because those Thing comics were like really kind of weird for me. I was just like, you know what? I'm good. I'll skip this. So I'm excited to dive into them. But no, yeah, I have very little to no experience with comics. It was even like there were times when I was reading this where I was like, wait, I'm going the wrong way. Like I'm reading like the dialogue wrong and stuff.
You did the boxes wrong.
Yeah, I was like slipping, and I just couldn't figure it out sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes they do the panel spreads so like dynamic that you're just like, wait, I think I was supposed to read a part before this. Let me go back. And then you figure out that the top panel actually came before the side panel, and you're like, oh shit, my bad.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was definitely glad that we did Planet Hulk first, at least for you, because I mean, before I got into comics like I am now, I almost did the same thing as you did. I think I remember going to a comic book store with Dad or something, and I just picked up like a random Flash comic.
Yeah.
That was like issue 27 and like part 4 of some arc. And I remember opening it and reading it and thinking it was cool, but also being like, what in the fuck is going on?
Right.
So your idea of doing the volumes for this kind of thing was a great idea, because volumes are they're the compacted 7 issues or so of the entire story arc.
Yeah.
So you can read it from start to finish.
Yeah.
So that was a good idea.
Well, that was what I was really worried about too, of like not knowing how to like track down the comics and like the full length stories and stuff like that. That's why I was
Yeah.
like, this is at least like a solid opener for us to kind of jump into.
Well, I guess for me, comic wise, I started in 2011. I was 13 or so, and I remember, God, I don't know where we were at, but it was me, you, and Dad. I don't
Jesus.
know. Yeah,
You're
I know my
23
memory
now, I
just kind of.
forget.
Time keeps on ticking, brother. No, I. So we went somewhere. I can't remember where we were. I think we were like in Seattle or something like that. I know we were at some kind of
Yeah,
like
I
cool like
remember what you're
indie
talking
comic
about.
book shop
It was it's near the Pike's Place.
or something like that.
Yeah, I
Yes,
can't remember.
one of
It's
those
like
kind of
Otherworld or
stores.
something, like Otherworldly
Yeah,
comic or something.
I remember because I got like a Captain America action figure, and I remember it came with it wasn't like the exact replica, but it was like like a printed scanned version of the like Captain America Origin comic or whatever
Yeah.
that's super famous. Um, it wasn't the real thing, or else I'd be like a fucking millionaire
Right.
and not having to work at a produce store. but I, but I remember reading it and just thinking like, wow, comics are actually pretty cool. And then I did the whole, just like going to a comic book shop and buying random issues and not knowing what was going on, and but knowing that I had a likeness towards Hulk, and I was like, I think Hulk is one of the cooler Marvel characters.
Right.
And then I just Google searched like the 10 best Hulk like uh, story arcs to read, and it came up with Planet Hulk. And I went to my like the downtown Vancouver comic book shop. I can't remember who I went with, and I got Planet Hulk on paperback. And then that was the first time I had ever read that story fully, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was such a cool thing, and I thought comics were so cool. And
Yeah,
then
so
once I
you
read
so
the
you actually own the like physical copy of it.
yeah, I have a lot.
Yeah. Because that's
I
what I
have a
was like
lot.
debating doing as well, because I know that like the artwork of comics is very important.
Yes,
Um, but I was
and they don't get
also,
enough credit.
yeah, right, and but I also did thought of what you are running into of like, um, I don't necessarily want a book fucking case filled with bunches of comic books, unfortunately. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that was my problem with getting all the singular issues, especially when I really got into comics. I kept buying these singular issues, and I just had nowhere to put them.
Right.
So that's when I switched over to just getting volumes, collected volumes only, because then it's just one big book, and I don't have to get as many singular issues. A lot of the time, in order to get a complete story arc, you have to buy like 14
Right.
issues, and that's like I don't have the time or the place to put these.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I mean. It's literally like artwork. Like you would have like a display case or so, or like I said, like a
Yeah.
bookshelf dedicated to it. And I was like, bro, I live in an 800 square foot apartment. Like I'm not, at least not right now.
uh, I guess I can put this in my cupboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, collecting comics has now been a big thing of mine. But definitely, I mean, if I'm new and I'm just now getting into this, if you're gonna do singular issues, I would say go digital. Because honestly, like the iPhone and the iPads and stuff like that can hold so many comics. Like I have over 900 issues on my phone,
Right.
and like that's super easy.
Yeah.
But if you want like stories that you're really interested in, like Planet Hulk, for example, then that's where I would say go get yourself the
Right.
paperback
Right.
because it's a lot more fun to like take that out to a coffee shop and read it
Yeah, I
or
think
read
something
it out
like
on the
Civil
deck.
War might be one that like, because I would
Yeah.
imagine they have like the entire collection of the Civil War stuff. We should do that one
But
next then,
yeah,
maybe.
there's your next. Well, hey, episode two's already
Well, that's
planned,
true. We haven't even
baby.
gotten into episode 1 here.
That's
Should we
true.
jump
We
into like?
just
Should we go
yeah.
by book? I guess like there. We can go like we can start at Exile and move on from there. Because
Sure. Yep.
Exile's like the first like. I mean, I guess it would be a book
Yeah.
because this is an anthology. right?
Yeah,
When
yeah.
they're all
Well,
together.
it's like a arc.
Yeah,
Yeah. So whenever you see those big titles that are like Exile or stuff like
yeah.
that, that's like issue 1, issue 2,
Gotcha,
issue
gotcha.
3.
That's what I
You
was
know.
wondering
So
because I kept like I got
yeah,
a little tripped up at that. So Exile, we
yeah,
start with him beating an AI, I believe, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
then the
And then he
Avengers
gets
use that to like basically shove
lure
him off
him.
Earth. Or is it the
Yeah.
Avengers? Or is it just like
No.
a few of them?
You don't actually even know who these guys are either.
Yeah,
This is
because like
crazy.
I know Iron Man,
Yeah,
obviously, but
yeah.
there's like a dude with like purple that I didn't recognize. I could.
I'm pretty sure if I read that comic right, or if I remember that comic right, I'm pretty sure it's Black Panther, but he's just like kind of colored purple because his entire outfit is black.
Is it really Black Panther? I don't think so.
Yeah,
He's got like a
yeah,
V on him or like a pitchfork
because
on him.
it's the Illuminati that sends him off
Oh,
planet.
yeah, because it's
Yes,
like Reed Richards and like some
yeah,
other guys. It looks like.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Reed and Tony. Oh, and Doctor
Yeah, Doctor
Strange.
Strange.
Yeah, that's who it is. You might be thinking of. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's Reed and Doctor
No,
Strange
there's a fourth
and
dude there.
what's he? He's got pointy ears.
No.
God, this is where it's like I wish we were in person to
Yeah,
do this, so
he's
then you
got
could show me the
he's
book.
got like a white pitchfork on his forehead and like a purple mask comes down to me. I don't know. Anyways,
Uh,
he's
yeah, it's
clearly
somebody.
yeah somebody of note in the Avengers that they're trying to like they say that they want to get him off world
Yeah,
to try to hook him up with a better spot, and then some other things happen, but I really like uh the gladiator esque arc that he goes through,
yeah,
and that it like kind of coincides with the world breaker slash Sakarsan, I believe
yeah,
is how I don't know
yeah,
how
yeah.
you would yeah,
Sakarson,
Sakarsan.
because
Like
it's like Planet Sakar, and he's a part of the whole like prophecy type beat
yeah, and
thing.
but anyways, he moves up through the ranks essentially, meeting a couple of friends along the way, and I do like that like all the friends are like monsters. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Brood is probably my favorite because
yeah.
it's just
You
so
don't
like
like
gnarly
Korg?
looking. Yeah, Korg is cool in this one. It is interesting
Yeah,
that oh, actually here we go. I can jump into like my first talking point.
yeah,
It's interesting like so obviously Thor Ragnarok like
yes.
had these guys in it.
It's baby Planet Hulk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And so uh it's interesting looking at like the difference in tone in this one.
yeah,
Like the monsters in this one are like monsters. Like they're not exactly like heroes. They're kind of
yeah.
anti-hero ish throughout at least a majority of the comic. And like Miek, I guess.
Meek,
Meek? Yeah.
Meek,
Meek
yeah,
is like a
Miak.
well, I see MI like Mayak. I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
Dude, you don't know how to pronounce alien names?
No,
The hell,
exactly.
bro.
um
Our first comment on this video is gonna be like, "This guy
yeah,
stinks. He doesn't know
well,
shit."
yeah, I like that like there's even a specific scene where Korg like I guess it's later on. We're gonna kind of jump around, I would imagine, but like Korg says like you can see in like Meek's eyes that, like all it's all rage. It's all like pain and like after I think it's like right after they lose the queen and
Oh yeah, the queen bug or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly. And like because that's like he's basically like my people are dead. Like that's it.
Yeah,
Like there's no more of us now. And yeah, and it all coincides with Hulk's like one. I mean, he has many flaws, but like the obvious one that shines through out of this is that like he's not able to deal with like life essentially, right? And life meaning that like things don't always go to plan. Bad things happen for no reason, right? Like I'm sure the Avengers didn't intend for the warp drive to blow up, right?
no,
They make
yeah,
it seem like oh, the Avengers bombed him out, like we're gonna bomb him, right? But
yeah,
if
yeah,
the machine like says like warp drive malfunction, right? So it's
yeah.
not
They
like
were like, "We're gonna send you to a nice Amazon
yeah,
planet." where you'll be left alone
Right.
and you'll grow old, like, and you can have peace,
Right.
but then it all just goes to shit.
So like those types of things where it's just the unpredictability of life, of just you're living and sometimes shit just happens. Hulk's like inability to be able to deal with that because of, he's the Hulk. He's rage, like incarnate
Yeah,
essentially, right? The
yeah.
local man literally too angry to die. Like essentially. Um
Hulk's just Florida Man. Florida Man.
no,
Florida Man, the
exactly.
superhero.
Exactly. And uh that theme gets pushed throughout it, right? That
Yeah,
he's like, even when he goes to kind of help uh Meek by not fighting, I can't remember her name, Eloy, I guess is probably how you would pronounce it, but it's like
yeah,
because they were about to like fight to the death, and he was like, yeah, y'all want to fight, like you'll fight me then, like good luck.
yeah, yeah,
um and then reminding them that they're like war bound or war bond, and not uh fighting for friends is like the other
yeah,
line that they always say, right? it's
yeah,
it's all about like, he always makes attempts and he always seems to fail,
yeah,
because like when that attempt fails, he's unable to process it, like unable to deal with it.
yeah, yeah. And that's like, that is like what the Hulk
Yeah.
is. He's born out of trauma and continuously does trauma because he can't like accept his own internal thing.
Right.
And that, but like all of his best stories are realistically about life, like pushing itself onto Hulk,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Hulk having to adapt to that and learn and become better.
Yeah.
And so like, what do you think of the whole, like, so like you said, not you saw Thor Ragnarok before even reading this story.
Yes.
So what do you think of like the clear distinct differences and the total shitwad that that movie did to this sub story? You already know how I feel about
Yeah.
it. We saw that movie together and I was like, that movie was garbage.
Well, see, like I don't think it's garbage. I think there's two different audiences, essentially, right? Like sure, if you're like you and Hulk as what you just described, right? Like
Yeah.
almost a tragedy. Like all of his stories are tragic, right? This like
Yeah.
even the ending of this, where he gets, he's finally got happiness and it gets bombed out, right?
It sucks,
And
bro.
you
It's
literally feel sad for him, right? It's a tragedy.
yeah.
Um, but that's not what the Marvel, like the MCU guys have for Hulk, right? Like
Yeah.
MCU Hulk is, they're
Big
making fun
goofy
of him
goofy boy.
in the first Avengers and saying like Hulk smash, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a different audience, a different feel. I get why
Yeah.
Korg isn't a like a philosopher type, deep thinking, almost the heart of the crew type thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
dude.
I
Isn't he so
he's
good?
really good. Yeah, no. I
And they
honestly,
wouldn't shit on him.
the whole team is really cool. I like
Yeah.
all of them. Um,
Yeah, they're very cool team. And that's like you said, how they're like monsters and aliens.
yeah,
I think that's also what kind of hypes up that team because
right.
everybody loves space
But
adventures,
again, you can't throw Brood in in the MCU,
No,
because a
yeah.
3-year-old is going to be like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah,
That's
dude.
horrifying. Like,
You'll get babies
yeah,
crying in the
yeah.
theater
When
and
it's just like
broods
a little
running around their
drawing, you
street.
can kind of deal with it. And there's even
Yeah,
a moment where like it goes to shield like the younger, like Imperials, I guess, like after they've kind of won, and the bomb goes off, and it actually
yeah,
goes to like save like some of the native population. Like it's very interesting that uh they do like follow Hulk's lead, which is what Korg was trying to point out at one point, where he's like, look, if you just keep, burning and killing and burning and killing, like that's all that will just keep happening.
yeah,
Um, so even like this brutal, nasty alien monster is like shielding children at the end, because that's what Hulk
yeah,
was doing, right? Like he was like trying to save everyone at the end of it. Um,
yeah. and that's one of the good things about comics is that you can get that kind of character
Yeah,
development.
I mean
I mean,
it's
you can still get them in the
yeah.
movies, but honestly like Iron Man 1 maybe was one of the only MCU movies that had an arc of a character that didn't have to take place over three different
Yeah.
movies.
Well, they
You
also
know,
didn't know it was going to be
yeah.
the
So
thing
they
that it
so they did
was.
the arc in the movie.
Yeah.
But like even like, Thor, the first Thor kind of did it with Thor like learning not to be a dickhead. And then but like Captain America's first movie was just kind of like the origin of Captain America
Yeah.
and nothing more. So I think that's a good thing you can get from these comics is these versions of these characters that you know from the movies, but now you get to see them fleshed out
Yeah.
and maybe in a different light that you're like, "Oh, that's nice. I like that."
Right. It's the same thing with like books compared to the
Yeah.
movies, right? Like that's
Yeah.
that's how it felt to read it. Like compare because it's pretty damn close to beat for beat Thor Ragnarok like when they get to it.
Yeah, Sakar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least it's yeah, that portion of it.
Yeah, just without like the Grand Master and all that stuff
Yeah,
and it's more
they
of
do a lot of things different and again for like obvious reasons. Like they already
yeah.
had the Guardians, so they kind of had their like how they wanted to set up space in the MCU,
Yes.
right? It is like a
Yeah.
goofy kind of yeah, a
Adventure
fun sci-fi
70s
romp
thing.
type thing,
Yeah.
right? So they had that kind of aesthetic and feel already set for it, and they obviously just kept rolling with it, and it works. I
Wanted to
mean,
keep it. Yeah.
as someone who hadn't read this before Ragnarok, right? I really enjoyed Ragnarok. That was the first
Yeah.
Thor that I was like, oh, this is worth watching. The third ones, or the 1, 2, and 3 are all just like you can skip them. Just have his first appearance be in Avengers. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. It would make plenty of
Yeah,
sense.
it's
Maybe not the Loki part,
yeah,
but like,
and the only other thing is like I didn't even know that the Reality Stone was in one of them. I was
yeah,
like, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, oh, like that's because I was like thinking about where all the stones came from, and I was like, where the
yeah.
fuck did the Reality Stone come in? Why do I not
Yeah.
remember that? And then I looked
Dude,
it up.
Natalie Portman injected that shit into his
Yeah, and then
veins,
I was
man.
like, oh, okay, that's why I didn't know because I didn't watch those
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, yeah. Thor 2, man. That's got to be kind of tough. That you got your big three of Captain America and Iron Man and Thor, and one of your big threes is like
Just
most of his movies
struggling.
are
Yeah,
ass.
just struggling. Well, and then they did the best in my opinion the best thing was letting him go. Like he's now like he's the comedic guy of the group and he's
Yeah.
got great chops. He's hilarious. He's really
No.
funny.
Yeah.
And I mean
Yeah. I
it
think
doesn't
that works for MCU
yes,
Thor.
exactly.
Definitely.
Like from what I understand in the comics he's obviously like the more serious of the crew.
Yeah.
But like when you have this guy acting as him, I forget his name, Chris Hemsworth, uh,
Yeah.
he's just happens to have good comedic chops and is funny. So make it work, right?
Yeah. It's not too bad having Surfer Thor. Like,
Yeah,
hey man, he's the only one that gets a fourth movie. None of the other guys get a fourth
that
movie.
is true. Yeah, they're all out.
Thor gets another.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so you know,
I like how we said yeah at the same time. Like, yeah, it's almost like it's like trying to say I don't want to say like as
I
much
know
when I'm talking because like this is professional.
I
Thank
word
you.
vomit hardcore. I say like bad
Yeah.
words all the time.
I just go like yeah,
Yeah,
and then yeah.
yeah, exactly. I just say bullshit like back and forth.
Anything to keep this shit
Yeah.
going.
Well, otherwise I lose my train of thought like I just did.
Definitely. I literally when we were talking about our comic book backgrounds, I was talking about how I got into comics and stuff, and then I took a sip of my fizzy water, and I looked at the title, and I literally my whole train of thought just went out my ear, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was like, already?
Uh,
I was like, we've been recording for like 5 minutes. And then you kind of were like, yeah, well, anyways, it went on to the next topic. And I was like, thank God.
yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool,
You
cool,
know, we
cool.
can
All
bounce
right,
it off.
next topic.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
the Silver Surfer came,
Yeah.
which was a
And it
weird
was like,
bit
I
for
can
me.
release you.
because
Why was that weird?
because isn't he like supposed to be crazy fucking strong?
Well, yeah, yeah, he's pretty strong.
Like why? How did he? I don't know. I guess I was just like I was caught off guard to see such, and then he gets resolved so quickly. I don't know. I was like
Yeah,
okay, so this is gonna be a weird like power dynamic between them two. But I guess they focus on Old Strong more, like him
yeah,
and Old Strong, which I guess makes
definitely,
sense.
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess I would prefer that to
I
just
feel
like
like
the
they just
surfer.
put him in there to be like, hey, it's Hulk versus Silver Surfer.
Yeah,
You guys think that's cool, huh? Because like literally they fight, and then Silver Surfer's like, I can get you out of here, and Hulk's
yeah.
like, nah. He's like, fuck off, bro.
I mean, and
I
the
just
fight
whooped
is
I just whooped
quick
your
as
ass.
fuck. And
Yeah,
granted,
that's
it's
a
the
problem,
fight
kind of.
that leads to like the destruction of the slave things,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
little like chest things.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh God, I don't even know what those are called, but they like shock them if they
yeah,
get
they
out of
like
line.
fry your brain if you don't listen or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it makes sense. It has it it has it going.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Next episode, we're gonna have to try and say yeah as little as we can.
it's impossible, impossible.
I feel like it's because we're not together, so it's like I can't see you like nodding your head, and you can't see me nodding my head.
Yeah,
So
I'm trying to
I gotta
like
verbally let you know I'm following
exactly.
along. So I'm
Yeah.
like yes,
Well, we'll have a podcast room soon. That'll be the
yeah.
move.
Couple months from now,
Yeah,
whenever I come home, we'll get it all set
we'll
up.
figure it out.
Um, but I think honestly, that beginning arc of the whole gladiator
Yeah,
thing really only could work with somebody like Hulk.
yeah,
I feel like the only other character that could really probably work with would be like Thor, just because they're both kind of already. I don't want to say like mythological, but kind of have that sense of lore to
hmm
them. That's more fantasy, sci-fi, that kind of thing, and they're brutes, so they could fit in this kind of
yeah.
world.
They're just kind of brawlers.
Yeah, so like that's why it fits really well, and it honestly like you said earlier, how it pushes Hulk to adapt to life, wanting to be a part of him, sort of thing.
hmm
I think the gladiator setting did that really well because he's forced for the first time in his life, like not that he's ever not been, but he's like forced to fight.
Yeah,
And usually he is forced to fight, but more of a sense of like people won't leave him alone, or he loses his temper
right.
every once in a while. Whereas this book was like, Hulk's a slave, and he's gonna have to fight his way to freedom. So good luck with that, bud. Like, and I think it really did highlight the Hulk as more than just a rage kind of character,
Sure, a rage machine.
really well.
Yeah, he really steps into like a leader position, and kind of sucks at it for a bit,
Oh yeah,
and
oh yeah.
because
He's
he's
he's a dick.
yeah, he's just like he's kind of a piece of shit, right? Like he's just like
Yeah,
he's just
yeah.
wanting to fight, uh, happy to do it and not really caring and stuff. Although it was weird for me that I was like, by the end of the damn thing, you're holding tectonic plates together, but somehow you couldn't overcome like the little blue thing.
Hey, hey.
But you know what I mean?
Leave the plot alone, all right?
Like I'll leave that one out because I'm gonna pretend that he was like kind of okay with it anyways and just wanted to go along with it.
It's because the planet that he was on, Hulk's powers had to get adjusted to
Oh,
the atmosphere.
that's true. They've got me. They said something about the portal, right? That's the same
Yeah,
thing that
like
happened to Silver
it kind of
Surfer.
fucked them up
Yeah.
just a
Okay.
little
All
bit.
right. Cool. They got me.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Whatever. Fine.
Look at you trying to question this
Look.
shit, dude.
Whatever, dude. There's certain thing. I guess that's true. There's no point in questioning
No,
like the
no.
power aspect of it because
Yeah, you just wait until one day when we read World of War Hulk.
yeah,
You're gonna be like, what the hell?
yeah,
There's literally a moment in World War Hulk where he's so angry and like powerful that he's like radiating gamma radiation, and he takes a step, and it creates like an earthquake in China. But like he's in New York,
Oh,
so you kind of just gotta be like, okay, the Hulk is like the most powerful character in the comics, I guess, for a little bit.
yeah,
Maybe not so much nowadays, but back then in the 2000s era, he was like unstoppable.
right.
And also, due to the comic books, like what
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they ain't gotta explain
That's what
that
I mean.
detail to
Like at a
you.
certain point, you're rolling with it because it's
You just gotta jump into the fantasy,
yeah,
man.
exactly. Let's move on to the Banner War section then, because that's
What are your talking points? Do you have any talking? Like, what are they?
wait. I thought
Like, what'd you write
no, I
down?
did, but I'm bringing them up slowly. But I thought like we
Oh,
could like go through the structure of the comic itself, right?
oh, yeah.
So we're
All
going.
right.
So then he moves on to Banner War, which this was gonna be one of my talking points. I didn't fully understand what,
What?
because I mean he's obviously kind of struggling with Banner being a part of him,
Yeah.
but like he also just doesn't seem to at the same time.
Yeah.
Like he just kind of moves on from it very quickly.
Yeah.
And then there's that scene like way later on when the spikes are like eating him and he turns into Banner for a second and then like the next panel he's back to like Hulk. And but then like Banner seemed cool with it and I was like, okay, so the like that whole portion they were saying like it's okay, like they're feeding off of him, like I'll be
Yeah.
fine, but him could be like kind of either or, and I guess that's the point, is to kind of like trip you up a little bit, like, but I was like my impression was that Banner was trying to fight back, lost, and then lost again, like from what I understand, like Banner got sucked out by the whatever it's called, like, and now it's just Hulk, but I don't know if that's the
No.
case. That's what I mean. I got
Um,
so fucking confused by the by the Banner Hulk stuff. I got like kind of ha.
it's a little bit. You're a little bit too much for you.
Yeah. I was not keeping pace.
Yeah. I brought out the comics so that I could look through it and see, because I was like, should I read it because you're reading it for your first time? But then I was like, I've read this comic like 4 times. I should just know what he's talking about by now. So it's always been like an internal struggle for Banner and Hulk,
Yeah,
and everybody knows that. But they share the same like mindscape. But the portal that they come through,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure it weakens both of them. So Banner's not like, they're both driving the same car and they go through the portal, and then Banner, his hands come off the wheel,
mm,
and now Hulk grabs a hold while he can,
right.
and now Banner has no control, like you said, uh, and Hulk is just driving the car basically. That's what that whole like arc is Banner's inability to regain the wheel, and basically just have to live in the subconscious of
Right.
Hulk.
Yeah, because that was like one
Um,
of the scenes was saying like, or it showed like Banner saying like I won, and then it kind of tricked him because it was
yeah,
actually Hulk that is saying
yeah,
like I
yeah.
won, and I was like,
He's
oh
like,
okay,
I did it.
yeah,
Oh, bro, you know who the guy is that you were like, he's got a crown on his
yeah.
head? That's Black Bolt. There we
Black
go.
Bolt,
I just had a,
Black Bulb,
yeah, Black Bolt.
Bolt.
B O as in
Who's that?
boy, O as in ooh. So he's oh god, now I just forgot their names. And Inhuman.
Oh,
Um, they're like almost like the mutants, but they're not because they're in space. But they had this Targaryen mist that makes them inhuman. It's damn near the mutants, but it's not. And I'll probably get yelled at by somebody that's like, "Oh, the Inhumans are this," but they're more like a royal kingdom in space. But he's a part of the Illuminati with Tony and Reed and Doctor Strange and Black
and
Panther
that's like
and him.
yeah, like a group of people that are like I'm
Yeah,
guessing more intelligent based.
yeah, they're like the smartest dudes on the world, or in the world, and their whole thing is like, we will discuss the things that uh the Avengers cannot know about, and we will act on the things that the Avengers won't act on,
Okay.
such as putting Hulk into
Sure.
space
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
making
Like
the
I
quick,
bet if they did it,
tough
yeah,
decisions.
yeah, like if they did like an Avengers roll call, hey, should we send Hulk into space? I bet you a few of the Avengers would be like, this isn't right, and
Sure.
then they would get in some argument. Whereas the Illuminati, they all come together and they don't tell anybody who they are, because like Captain America used to be a part of the Illuminati,
Yeah.
and then I can't remember. I think it was they had the Illuminati. The Illuminati had the Infinity Stones, and they were like, we have to keep these out of everybody's hands, and they were like, yeah, and then they were like, but we can also use these to like make the world a better place. And then Cap was like, hold on a
Yeah.
sec, we shouldn't even touch
Hit the
these. And
red
then they were
button.
like, yeah, he was like, that's like, yeah, like, you know, this is like nuclear power, but on the scale of we could wipe reality.
Right.
And then the Illuminati was like, oh, okay, Steve, yeah, no worries, Steve. And then they wiped his memory
Oh,
and
poor Steve.
fucking booted him out. Yeah, so the Illuminati's like the real life Illuminati in real life, but in the comics, and instead of random people out in the world, it's superheroes.
Gotcha.
What if the Illuminati's listening to this pod and they're like, he just said we're fucking superheroes?
He just said we're just some random guys? What the fuck?
I get hacked. I have no money in my bank account. It just says Illuminati in my bank account in numbers. Yeah, so yeah. Oh god, what were we talking
We were
about? We
at
just
the
went off on a
Banner War
tangent.
part.
Yeah,
So,
the feeding on him. It's Hulk who says that, right?
yeah, so it's Hulk, and then he slowly transforms into Banner, and so I guess that makes more sense now that you're saying,
Yeah,
like, when you're talking about the wheel, right? So
yeah,
Hulk was seemingly letting go where Banner was, and that's why it keeps doing the quick cuts. Because I was like,
yeah.
why the fuck is it like one panel is one and then the other panel is the other? And now I'm
Am I
understanding.
tripping?
No, for real. I was like, isn't it supposed to be like a big long process when he transforms into Hulk? Like, why does he keep?
Yeah,
And then, now it makes more sense that it was like Banner like vying for the wheel and realizing that like, oops, nope, Hulk still got it. Sorry, buddy.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
that makes more sense
yeah.
now. That's where I got really confused with the Banner War stuff. I did like it. The Spike stuff was cool, like a little bit of body horror
The
imagery.
creatures.
Yeah, cool creatures, and I like the way that they resolve too. I like
Yeah,
that they're not just like another thing like the Flood from Halo, like just like a mindless, destructive force, right?
venom
Yeah,
thing, like
yeah,
virus type
because
thing.
they have that really nice like beautiful scene where they go back to the stars and they hear like all the like whispers of people who have been taken by them, right? And they're
Yeah,
releasing their life force or whatever like back into the
yeah,
world or back into the universe, and it's like a nice like interconnectedness throughout the book of it, that was part of the dichotomy too of the Scarson versus
ooh,
the the
dichotomy,
world.
big word.
Look at me. Versus the world breaker, right? Like, and
Yeah,
Meek even says like maybe one and the same, like at one point, like they might.
yeah,
It's consistent with that theme of just
yeah.
like you live in the world, like life is happening, and it can be good or bad, or maybe not even like, maybe that doesn't even apply. Maybe things just happen and you have to deal with them, right?
Yeah, maybe you just
Yeah,
exist.
exactly. And that's a real consistent theme throughout this whole series, that I was like, "Ooh, damn, that's cool stuff. I like it." Yeah.
Ooh, hey, they're making the Hulk
Yeah,
interesting. That was one of the big things about this story too, is that before this story, Hulk was really in a rut, like story wise.
right.
Uh,
Just like in the comics.
yeah, they just like it was always constantly this whole Banner versus Hulk thing. Like, what do we do? He's a monster? Is he not a monster
Right.
thing? And then Pack did Planet Hulk, and it I don't want to say it completely flipped the Hulk mythos on his head, but it introduced the idea of the world breaker, and then the also like world breaker sticks with Hulk,
Yeah.
and it becomes this actually big lore to Hulk, that's even used in today's Hulk's comics in 2021,
Right.
and it really revamped Hulk in a really good way. The sad part is, then they did World War, and then they just the whole comics kind of just took a back
They
seat.
did World War Hulk.
Yeah, World War Hulk comes after
Right.
this because the planet explodes. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert! Just kidding. This comic has been out for decades
Yeah.
now. But the planet explodes, so then he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go back to Earth and beat some ass,"
Right.
and he does exactly that. And then when he's there in the World War Hulk, you're really introduced to the World Breaker Hulk,
Yeah.
which is that a stomp in New York leads to a typhoon in Miami,
Right.
like type thing. So
Just like a
I
force
think
of nature almost.
yeah, yeah, and it really revamped Hulk as like a powerful being, but also a tragic being, but also a big like lore type being.
Yeah.
And that's why I said that earlier of like I could only see this kind of story working with Hulk or Thor because there's so much like lore you could add to those two characters that explains them. Like that's why at some point I'm gonna have you read the Immortal Hulk series because that is literally what started my YouTube channel, and that comic series takes the whole mythos and just completely flips it to like this. Just it's so amazing. I actually can't wait for you to read that now.
I've actually, what's crazy is I've heard about that specific series outside of like the comic book realm.
Yeah,
I've heard
well,
people talk
it's
about it like outside of just that stuff.
yeah, well, because it's been like the number one seller. I don't know if anymore, but it was a consecutive number one seller since its
Right.
release for like a couple months, and then it got back to back Eisner nominations, which is like Oscars for books.
Yeah.
So it got like back to back 2019 and 2018, I believe, nominations. Like a Hulk book since I want to say like I think Planet Hulk is the last book of a Hulk to get nominated for like an Eisner
Right.
or for any kind of award. So it's like it had been a hot minute since Hulk had a story that is as captivating as this one
Yeah.
is. Like look at you, like you've never even read a book, and this entire novel has you like, oh, I like
It was
this.
really cool. It was very, very
Yeah,
cool. And I guess yeah,
mm,
this is a review, and I guess at the end we'll get to we can do some recommendation or not type thing. Um,
recommendation or not. How long do we have on here? Did you just do like the free 1 hour recording? Is that what I'm seeing?
yeah, I think so. Should I be
Yeah.
keeping track of that? I mean, I guess
It
yeah.
should tell
In
you.
that case, we got 12 minutes left.
No
Yeah, we've
way.
already killed 48 minutes.
Oh my
49 minutes
god.
just flipped over.
I really thought when we first were recording this, I was like, what if we just get like stagnant and we kind of just like,
Like right there.
all right, well, anyways, it's actually perfect that you went silent.
um no, yeah, I honestly it should be perfect too as just like a bite-sized like 1 hour podcast that any
Yeah,
you can just kind of throw on and listen to some people talk about it really quick. I guess I can
I'm
get into
kissing
my
our own
last talking
butts.
point then really quick.
Yeah,
Is the
yeah,
artwork of it. So
yes.
I had trouble because
Oh,
like I've said, like this is it. This is my first one. So I don't
yeah,
have anything to compare it to type thing.
yeah.
So you know, there were some things like I said, like with the spikes, like the body horror was really cool. Where I did get
Hmm.
like kind of creeped out, and I was like, oh, those things are gnarly. Like what a gnarly monster, right? Um,
Yeah,
and then there was that last few panels. I guess can I go by page numbers
yeah, yeah. That would
or
honestly probably help people who haven't
yeah, sure. So like
read
the
it or something.
325 and 326,
Yeah.
the right after like the big explosion happens is like you that's where I was like feeling the most of like wow, like
Yeah.
what a tragic character. Like how sad for him. Like again, like and
Yeah.
especially when he comes out of that moment with Meek and Brood like essentially let's go wage war on planet Earth because those fuckers did this, right? And
Yeah.
rightfully so. To them, they think that's what happened. But like I said, like you don't hear or like we as the reader know that like it was the warp drive being fucked with through the crash or
Hmm.
whatever, right? And it just happened to go off.
Yeah.
Um, the Hulk and the crew, like, they don't know that, right? They just think, God damn, like, they not only did they jettison him into space, they were gonna blow him up. Like, how fucking crazy are these assholes down on Earth? Let's go fuck them up.
Yeah.
Like, it's there's anyways, back to the artwork stuff. I don't have a
Well,
great
those two,
I
yeah.
don't have a great understanding of what good artwork is in comics yet.
Yeah.
But a few of them did strike me pretty well. So I feel like I'm getting kind of a handle. Like I
Yeah,
said,
I mean,
those two
you can
specific pages
tell.
are nice.
Yeah, I feel like it comes with personal preference for how you like your art style to
Sure.
be. You know, like if you're a guy who's like, I like my comics to look more cartoony and realistic, like you're not gonna probably like something like Planet Hulk, not Planet of the Hulk,
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes.
Oh, oh, oh.
But I feel like that's just preference,
Yeah.
realistically. This artwork is very good. There's, I actually looked at the pages you just said, and those two splash pages, like
Yeah.
from the coloring to the overall like body
Yeah,
and
and the
size of
stance and
Hulk,
stuff like yeah.
the and you can tell like depth perception and stuff
Right.
like that with where he's standing and where everything around him, like that. I would say, as a veteran comic reader, I would say that's pretty good
Yeah.
stuff. Um, but I think honestly, the more comics you read, you'll come across a few arts that you're like, I do not like this.
Yeah.
There's actually there's actually a comic book artist out there who actually traces porn actresses for when he draws females.
Wait.
I
Okay, wait.
I yeah.
Tra- so you wait, so you've just
So
got a
I
fucking like a video pulled up.
not like a video, but like he'll get a video and he'll print out a picture of the
Sure,
girl
like a
and he'll
freeze frame,
put it
like a
on like
frame.
a yeah he'll put on, what are those called, like an
Yeah, yeah,
illuminated
yeah.
stand,
Like a
and he'll trace like her face or her expression.
that's
And
interesting.
you know what's crazy
How is
though
that not
is like
illegal?
I don't know, his art is not bad. That's the crazy part. Is that like his style, like he draws people uh like they look pretty good, his like
But yeah,
style.
that makes sense. He's tracing something. I could probably do that,
Yeah.
like too,
Well,
if you give me enough
that's the
time.
problem.
How is
That's
that not
you
illegal?
know,
What?
I don't
That's
know.
so weird.
I mean, he doesn't get much work now as he used to. I wish you were here cuz I could just easily send you a picture
Yeah,
of his artwork cuz I'm pretty sure I have a book by
I'm
him.
sure we'll bring
But
it
I'll have
up
to,
in
yeah,
another episode.
next
Yeah.
pod. Yeah, next pod I'll have to show you. But yeah, so like I mean it's good, but like you can still tell it's like those are porn stars. And he gets called out for it on Twitter all the time, and it's super weird.
Those are porn
I,
stars.
I
That's
watch it
fucking
all the
funny.
time, and I'm like, I always look at these threads, and I'm like, dude, he really does. And but the weird part is they're like '90s and like '80s porn stars.
Oh, that's gonna
So like yeah, like
that's crazy
classic like
shit.
kind of bombshell type
Yeah.
shit, and it's like what? But it's good art, I guess. But yeah, I think over time when you're reading into these books, you'll get a sense of your preference of what artwork you
Yeah.
like. I mean, and then there's honestly there's just no denying when artwork is like,
Right.
good, and you're like,
When you have
holy
like a
shit.
good setup.
Yeah, and there's also no denying when artwork is just
Where
dog
you're
shit.
like, we're
You're like, how
bro.
does this guy have a
Yeah.
job? Like, what the fuck? Look at the
I guess
fingies.
it's true because if you think about like One Punch Man was kind of that way, right? Like
Yeah,
like his face is he was like a web comic for a while,
yeah.
and like his face was just like thrown together, a couple fucking ovals, and it ended up being a funny, funny enough
His
thing.
face was like if you and I were to
Yeah,
draw him.
exactly, and it ended
But
up
then
being
they had those splash pages that were like, holy
right.
shit, anime.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
cool. We have about 4 minutes left. I guess.
Okay.
Do you want to just wrap it up?
Yeah. No,
A
yeah.
hundred
Yeah,
percent.
let's wrap it up.
This is a very good comic. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
As a new reader, I enjoyed it highly. It's fairly easy to follow, picks up right off the bat, and has a lot of pretty artwork.
Definitely. Yeah.
Down for it.
That's a good thing about the beginning is that it's literally like You don't really need to know
Yeah.
much other than Hulk's been
Yep.
exiled, and you're like, okay, well, that
And it
makes sense.
explains it
You
really
know?
easily and really quickly,
Yeah.
and you know the motivation throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I as a veteran of this book and having it been my first book and having read it 4 or 5 different times, I would always recommend this book to anybody. Uh, I always recommend this book to anybody who wants to get into the Hulk genre because it is a good introduction to Hulk as a character. Even though it takes place like really far in his history, it's like you said, you noticed how the whole character
Yeah.
is, and like that just works really
Yeah.
well.
It's very fun. Very fun comic for sure.
Yeah, dude. All right, well, I guess that does it for this episode.
Let's wrap it.
I will be posting this on YouTube pretty soon. I gotta edit it.
Yeah.
And also expect us to be on Spotify. I just have to figure out how to create a Spotify account that I can upload because I have a Spotify account for like
Yeah.
music. But it's like, how do you make one for podcast? And do I have to pay money
Yeah.
to
To
update?
like
Because if I
post
have
it,
to pay money, I'm all right. These will just keep to go. These will just keep going onto
which is
YouTube.
awesome. It
But
totally works.
but if they don't, this should be on YouTube and on podcast or not podcast,
Spotify.
Spotify. Uh, well, thanks for coming by,
Yeah,
everybody.
first episode. Thank you.
Say goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
All right, goodbye.